Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 4, A Farewell to Farms. This was a pretty meh attempt at a Star Trek episode. It just totally random. Didn't seem to say anything or do anything. And I'm starting to see why Season 5 might have been the end of the show, not just because contractually they can get out of the show at that point without having to pay any penalties or anything. Although I'm not sure the animated contracts were the same as the earlier live-action ones, but either way, I think this show doesn't really have anything left to say, if it ever had anything to say. This episode has A story and B story. The A story, I guess it's A story. The A story is Bulma and, I know I say his name wrong, I always have, I'm just never going to remember it any other way, and Mariner go to the Klingon homeworld, which has some nice, establishing shots and stuff like that, because a friend of hers, I think his name is Mark, lost his command and she's trying to help him get his command back, like he'd need her help. Yeah. So they go to a Klingon bar and there's a female character that's voiced by Mary Chaffo, and at some point they talk of a character named Dawn, who is a traitor because, it's a reference to Michael Dawn's Worf, and all the drama they had with Sins of the Father and all that, so it's a throwback to that because it's throwing back to Next Generation. It's not the JJ, Klingon homeworld or anything like that, it's the actual Next Generation one. And we see him have to go through these trials, and of course they pull out the pain sticks because, Season 2 is one of the best seasons of Star Trek. Season 1 and 2, Next Gen were the best ones. I know everyone thinks around the other way because they're very confused. But, he has to fight a giant Targ, and he decides to sacrifice himself in the end, but they end up killing the guy they're actually he's sort of overseeing it all. And it's just, why are we here? Who is this character? Why do we care? It's just totally random. It's not like, it's just like, the only reason they might be there is they do discover that there are some spatial rifts that they were there to scan apparently, and they apparently appear to be man-made. So they do seem to be sprinkling in something for an overall story for the season, but a lot more subtle than last year, where the start of every episode was like the same sequence setting up this scenario with this spaceship and that, which is really tedious because every week was the same thing for ages. So they do seem to have some bigger story happening, but it's just subtly being put together. It's probably just going to come together in like the last episode or so, I think. But so the B story is even more pointless and just like, what, how, why, we don't need this. The Birdman character that's just Lost in Space, it's more of a Lost in Space parody at that point. What was his name? Dr. Miglamore, I think it was. We discover his characters, their race, are called the Kalakans. Kalakaias? I've forgotten their name already. But basically it means bird's butthole. Is literally the Kalaka, I think, is the name of the butthole for a bird. So they made them the Kalakayan. I can't remember how to say it now. I've already forgotten. But so it's almost funny, but who would know that? But yeah, I guess some people who know about bird biology would know the name for a bird's butt. So yeah, basically they're on board the ship, and he's all anxious about dealing with them because apparently his race are a bunch of food snobs, and that's all they care about. And these guys are there just trashing all the food and saying it's bland and has no flavour. What's actually happened is they've actually lost their ability to taste, which makes them absolutely redundant on their home world. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, nothing really happens. There's one tiny little clue. It's like the whole episode is just there so they can drop a clue for, like, I guess the final episode or something, or the overall sort of story of the series if they actually start to develop one, but like as the main sort of story of an episode. But it's just sort of random little things ever since the first sort of encounter with the alternate universes and stuff. So yeah, this is really, like, last week I thought was really bland and boring, and this one's bland and boring. And I'm like, there's nothing here, and it's like, okay, maybe it's a good thing they do end the show because they've run out of things to say. They at least some of the earlier shows, they may have been attacking Starfleet and criticizing Starfleet and sort of trashing Star Trek, but at least they had something to say about Star Trek, even if it was negative and Trekkie-esque. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm almost thinking of combining this with my season 5, episode 3 video and just releasing a 3 and 4 review, because I so forgot about, like, the last episode was so unremarkable. I forgot about the whole thing, and it's basically a couple of hours before, everyone's talking about the new episode, and that was released, that I actually just did the review for episode 3. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and if this season is going anywhere and, like, really deserved another season.